What's up, gravel junkies? We're back with the second installment of our gravel series. First, before we talk a little bit about this episode, we'll hit our sponsors. We are sponsored by Legacy Bikes. That's Legacy with an I, Legaci, bikes.com. At Legacy Bikes, they have all your balanced bike needs. So get your little one up on two wheels and get them started at legacybikes.com. We're also sponsored by NYSBRA, the New York State Bicycle Racing Association. NYSBRA is responsible for all the behind-the-scenes work of racing in New York. Grants, upgrades, permits, calendars, officials, all that hard stuff, and they do a great job with it. So show them some love. Get on Facebook, follow them there, and hit up their website for some more details and lots of great resources. All right, so this is the second of our three-part gravel series. If you didn't hit the first one, check out our website, and you can check out the first installment with Brendan Hausler. As I said on that first episode, if you gave it a listen, the concept was originally to put three of these together in one show, but we got so much good content that I really wanted to break them out and give everybody sort of their own space, because all the interviews I think really deserve it and are really interesting, and this one certainly fits that bill. So for this part, I got to sit down and talk with Anya Bogdante of Just Ride out of Buffalo. Anya, I've seen Anya race pretty much since she started racing. She's done several of my events, both in gravel and on the road. And she has this unbelievable ability to just go deep and long into these huge gravel events that are just ungodly. And she really can sort of push herself to it and almost in a way that it doesn't seem like it's that hard. She makes it look easy, which is crazy. But it's been really awesome to see her evolve to that over the last couple of years, from racing some of the local stuff where you're doing 30, 40, 50 miles and now hitting 300 plus mile events. So on this episode, we sat down and talked to her a little bit about her experience on Iowa, Trans Iowa, or Iowa Wind and Rock as it was this year. It was formerly Trans Iowa, and falling just short of finishing the 340 some miles that ride or race is, and then swinging it back and hitting Gravel Worlds and placing third overall. I mean, what an amazing result. So locally, we were really proud of her for such a big result, and I know a lot of people were, and it was really excited to talk to her afterward and hear her perspective on these big gravel races and that she's really just getting started on. So without any more from me, check out Anya Bogdante.
You'll never go out on a training ride and dig that deep.
Awesome. We won gold.
They're life rides.
I'm like, dude, I'm still figuring this out.
This isn't a road race. This isn't a mountain bike race.
The sensei of sprint, Todd Chesky.
My eyes are coming out of my head. Just get in here.
All right, so we'll get started. So as we get going here, first, for people who don't know you, give us like a little background on sort of how you got into just racing in general. How long have you been racing a bike, and then what brought you to these really ridiculously long gravel races?
Okay, so I've been pretty much athletic all my life. I got into running. Running is a huge background for me. I did, ultra marathons, and I just kind of like the longer distance things. So, but I started getting injured quite a bit with running. So I picked up biking probably like 2014 or so, just to supplement, the running. And while I was hurt, I went into biking to help out with recovery. And then I just kind of fell in love with it. I just started biking instead of running.
It's way more fun than running. I mean,
it is, and
no doubt about that.
Yeah, you can cover more distance and see more.
Sure.
So, and then just kind of got in touch with Becky and Adam from the bike shop. Just slowly got into the racing scene. They kind of introduced me to it. Started riding with them and met a couple of people from Buffalo area, and then just I think my first race was Strada Verde. They're like, yeah, you should do it. It'll be fun. I'm like, yeah, I should. And then I think I did it. I had a lot of fun. Um, and I think I came in third place or something. I don't remember, but it just like I was like, this is really cool. Like this is more fun than going out and doing a marathon or something like
Right.
that.
And for
Like,
people who don't know, Strada Verde is a local road race. So you got in with the sort of a local bike shop in Buffalo, and then hit up one of the kind of local road races. So it was what, maybe 25 miles or so at that
yeah,
point, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so it was just a lot of fun. And then just started doing more races like the crits and just really wanted to do a race every weekend. And then Dan Burr, he's my boyfriend, he's like, you should look into doing like a gravel race. It's fun. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And then that's when I did the gravel series that you put on.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was in that point, it was the Mudslinger. So
Yes,
I
yes,
think we
that
were in 17. It would have been Austin, Prattsburg, and then Finger Lakes would have been that series. Yeah.
yeah. So I did. I went like out riding and like we would just go out dirt roads and things like that and cyclocross and stuff. But I did the series and I loved it. I was like, there's something about like the gravel. It's hard. It's your own effort. Like it's just you're just going out there and just putting all this like work into it, and it's like instant gratification. And there's something about just being out and in the middle of nowhere with the dirt and just like I don't know, I just like like I just loved it. And then started reading about the different gravel races out in Vermont, and went out and did a couple of those just for fun. There was one that was really cool, Cabot Ride the Ridges, and it's right in where Cabot is made, actually, the cheese, Cabot cheese.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just so beautiful, and it was just so like it just it was hard, but it was fun and safe too. You're not worried about cars, or you're not worried about just running into other cyclists because everybody's so spread out. And
Right.
and it was just a lot of it was a lot of fun. And I think just having the background of doing like those ultra marathons, I like the longer the race, the more fun I had. I don't know. I don't understand it, but
So for the Cabot one, for our races, the first gravel races you did, for people who aren't in our area, those are roughly 30 to 40 miles probably at that point in those, because you're probably doing the beginner, the intermediate groups, right?
Yeah.
I think you won the state championship that year, right?
Yeah.
So those were they would all be about 35 miles and about 100 feet per mile, about 3,500 feet. So as far as gravel racing goes, they're short and sort of punchy, and early season for us here where it's cold all year, and just kind of, come into April and everybody sort of gives everybody an excuse to get out, but they're pretty accessible. You don't have to do some sort of crazy training plan to do 100 miles, 200 miles. The Cabot one, when you started making the transitions out of our series and doing some other ones, is that a longer one, or was that shorter like ours?
No, it is. It's 65-ish, 65 miles, and it's about 7,500 feet of climbing.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a little bit longer. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So then, at what point do you go, okay, I want to take on some even greater distances? What was the first really long distance that you did?
So, well, I'll just go out and ride for hours at a time, and I'm just like, God, it would be, and then you just start hearing about people doing like the Tour Divide, Trans Iowa, Race Across America, and all these like really epic races. And I'm like, God, like that would be so cool to just go out and ride all day. I don't know. And then I was just like talking about like, oh, maybe I should ride across New York just for the hell of it one day, like, in the summer. And then there's a rider, a cyclist here in Buffalo, Bill Graves. He's done Trans Iowa a whole bunch of times. He's finished a few times and and not able to finish. I'm not sure how many he's done, but he's gone out to Iowa and tried it like handful of times, and he and I was lucky enough to kind of meet him through friends, and he like talked about it a little bit. I'm like, God, that sounds that sounds really cool. You know, he's talking about how difficult it is, and how it's like just so it's just so epic. You know, you really challenge yourself, and you challenge yourself as a person, and challenge your mental ability and physical ability. I'm like, God, that sounds pretty cool to see if I could do something like that, to see how far I can take my body, or see how far I can go with it. And unfortunately, when I wanted to do it, they stopped doing Trans Iowa. It was the last year. Last year was the last year. And then Sarah Cooper, the one that's putting on the Spotted Horse gravel race out in Iowa, she picked it up with a few other people, and they they had that Iowa Wind and Rock, and it's free to sign up. You're on your own. They just provide the venue in a way, and the route. With cue sheets, not actual route that you put in your Garmin or anything like that. It was all cue sheets. But yeah, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try it. And so that was my first really, really long gravel race.
And that was this year, right?
Yeah.
Earlier this year?
Yes.
And that was 300 miles?
300 and it ended up being 332. When they advertised it, they said it was like 340, but
okay.
Was it like 332 or 335? But so it was, yes. I ended up dropping out at mile 306. I know it, and people ask me how could you only had like 30 so miles left, and I'm like, at that time I could not. There was just I could not.
You don't have to convince me. If anyone says you only had, after you rode 300 miles, if they said you only had 25 feet after riding 300 miles, I'd punch them in the face. Like, that's ridiculous. Riding 300, like, there's no only had after making 300 miles. That's an insane amount of distance. How long were you on the bike for with 300 miles?
I was 33 hours, was it? Yeah, it was 33 hours. So no sleep.
Oh my God.
Just, I think, looking at my, like, the stats and everything, I stopped for 2.5 hours with like refueling. There was a checkpoint 2, which was about 100 and it was around 180 miles or so. I felt so sick. I spent like an hour there just trying to calm my stomach down. I was nauseous. I had to like lay down for a couple minutes because I felt like my body was like going into like this like strange shock. Like, it was so strange. And once that passed, I ate and I was able to continue. But yeah, it was like, oh my God, you just put your body through so much that they were like sensations that I've never felt before. Just like that exhaustion, and like just feeling like you're not even like really there. I don't know. I can't explain it. It was really like surreal.
What was the furthest you'd ridden before you took that on?
So my training, which actually going into Iowa Wind and Rock, I wanted to actually get a coach for this, because I really didn't know how to train for something like that. And I went with Kristen Legan. She's her and her husband are big gravel racers, and her husband wrote the book Gravel. I think actually I can't remember the exact name, but he pretty much wrote the book on gravel. Everything you want to know about gravel, he wrote. So I went with her to coach me for this, and one of the in like 6 weeks until Iowa Winter Rock, I had to do like a 10-hour ride, and it ended up being like 160 miles.
Wow.
So, and it was like it was in the winter. So I remember I was out riding near Houghton College, and I just kind of like picked random roads, and I had to walk my bike a couple times because some of the seasonal roads were covered with snow, and that was part of the training. Like that was actually like, I had to do that. I had to walk my bike because going into Iowa Wind and Rock, you don't know what kind of conditions you're going to have. And Trans Iowa, there were, they were riding on or even walking on like peanut butter muddy roads, and they had to walk for miles on that. So that was part of my training, to walk through a seasonal class road over the snow, hiking my bike. It sounds crazy, but it was kind of fun. It's like an adventure, I guess. I don't know. But
So when you're going through this training, and then when you get into, well, I kind of I have the same question for both the training and the racing itself, because I imagine it might be slightly different. But when you're going through the training in particular, all right, what's going through your mind? Are you thinking like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm riding 10 hours in Western New York winter to get ready to do double this distance. Like, okay, are you ever like, I don't know if I want to do this?
I think it was more like I actually really wanted to do it. It was a question of like, I questioned my sanity because like I'm thinking like I could be, working, or I like there's a little bit of like I took a different job to like do this. There were other reasons.
You quit a job
Yeah,
and took a new one so that you could train for this.
right. Kind of like there were other things going on. Like, I was just I wanted change in my life and things like that, and just having some time with my family. So I took a job that was actually like, it was quite a cut in my pay, and but it gave me a lot of time. I was able to train and be with my family. So
That's
like,
dedication.
well, and so I questioned I'm like, why would I do that? Like, I don't understand myself, but but then, and I guess there were times when I was like, I'm just putting so much effort into something that's not going to really have any kind of real like return, except for the fact that I did it. And so I don't know, I just questioned why, if like I had doubts, I guess you could say.
But you didn't have doubts that you wanted to do it. You just were wondering why you wanted to do it. It
Right.
sounds like there was no like I don't know if I really want to do this. It was, I want to do this so bad, and I'm wondering if I'm giving up too much to make it happen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
well, that's why you're able to do it. I think that's it right there. What about when you're actually going through the racing itself? When you're at, mile 200 or 150 or whatever, and you're really just, it's a grind. Like, what are you thinking about during just those hours and hours and hours on the bike?
So yeah, it's so hard to remember some of it, because I there were times when I like, I mean, through that time period, I had good moments and just really, really bad, like pain, not like just being like super fatigued, looking at a hill and being like, are you kidding me? Another stupid hill. Like, just, but then there were like moments too where I remember just being like, this is so peaceful, and there's such like tranquility, especially at night. That's how I felt at night. Like, there's just like such tranquility, and I'm like, I cannot believe how fortunate I am to be able to do something like that. And these moments of like positive thinking, just telling myself like how unbelievable for me to experience a moment like that. Like there are people that go through their lives and never get to kind of feel this like amazing, like, I don't know, it's just like a feeling of being part of something small but bigger at the same time. I don't know. It was just like such a, but there was a moment of like peace too, like this amazing feeling of peace, just being out in the world, no fear, riding my bike and doing just being in that moment, like loving it at that moment in time. And then there were times where I felt so sick to my stomach, and and I was like, should I quit now? Should I quit? I mean, it's a phone call away. It literally is a phone call away, and I could get picked up. Maybe I should quit now. And then I would try to kind of argue with myself and tell myself like, well, you're not dying. Like, it's just a feeling that you have. It's just your body telling you that you need to do something right now. Maybe you need to have like some a ginger snack or something. Like I had a ginger ale chews, and I had peppermint. That was something, a tip that was given to me, telling me to do that if I start to feel nauseous or sick, or if I got a stomach ache, and I would just, I would do that, and I would eat some more. A lot of times, people that have done races like that, they'll say when you're feeling like that, when you're feeling sick and fatigued, it's just that you just need to keep eating, like forcing yourself to eat. And I would do that, and it would take a little bit of time, but then I would start feeling better, and I don't realize that I am feeling better. It's just that, I just forget that I was feeling sick, and then I just keep going.
So what was the decision when you did stop in Iowa? What was it that made it for you? Like, why? Well, how did you?
So,
It sounds like you have this back and forth, and you obviously have this incredible will to keep going, keep going, keep going. So, at what point do you say, okay, I gotta stop?
so it was really hot. I don't know if you knew that. I trained over winter. I was prepared for probably, 40-degree weather, maybe some rain. I had all these. I like going into the race. It showed up like the forecast was in the it was saying like 70s and 80s. Wow. Not
Yeah.
being prepared for that, like just
And this is
physically.
April, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
you haven't been in that kind of weather just in
Right.
general. Like usually, even if you're just on a short race and you come out of the winter and that first 80-degree day just crushes everybody just because you're not acclimated, right?
Right. So it was that was hard. I don't think I drank enough water. Um, there were I did refuel as often as I can for water, but I don't think I drank enough. And then on top of that, I got really, really bad sunburn. I mean, it was so bad that like when like the first day it was really bad. And everybody's like, why didn't you put sunblock? I did, but it just came right off, and I didn't have any more with me. So um, that night I was like going through chills. When you get like a really bad sunburn, you like there's like you go through like these chills
Hmm.
pretty much. And it was like whenever I had any of the clothes that rubbed anywhere near where the sunburn was, it would burn so bad. So I I was like, okay, that's okay. It's just a burn. It's fine. And then the next day on that Sunday during the day, it was even hotter. I think and I know like the garment that is not as accurate as like I don't know the Weather Channel, or whatever, but it did say that it was like 92 at some point.
Wow.
And it was just there was no clouds, it was just the sun just beaming down on me, and I like it felt like my skin was on fire. It was so bad. And what I ended up doing was I took my arm warmers that are black, unfortunately, and I soaked them in water and I inverted them inside out and I put them on my arms because it was just burning so bad. And I thought maybe that would help to cool off.
Yeah.
But like, it was still burning. On top of that, I started to just to feel very like what's the word? Like faint. Like that's I might have been I might have had like what is it, like
Heat stroke?
yes, thank you. I couldn't
Yeah.
think of it. Yeah, because it
Yeah,
started
I
to feel
imagine. You're
like,
especially you're breaking your body down with as long as you're out there, and then that's taking a toll on it, probably even more so than it would just being sunburned and in the sun no matter what.
right. Yeah. And so I just, I started feeling like really, really sick, faint. I couldn't even like comprehend what I was doing. And there was actually another rider we would like like I would pass him and then he would pass me and we'd kind of like check in on each other because um he didn't look so good and then I would ask him, I was like, how are you doing? Nathan is his name. I was like, how are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm just gonna pull off in the shade and sit for a while. I'm like, okay. And then I kept on going and I thought about it. I was like, maybe that's what I need to do because I'm not feeling really good. There were times too where I would like I would it almost like is like I couldn't stay on the bike. I would I noticed kind of like slipping off my bike because I couldn't really like be like focused. I was just so out of it. And then I pulled over. I laid in the shade. It was like in a ditch with a little bit of a shade from a tree. And then he came around and he's like, hey, are you okay? And I'm like, I think so. He's like, you don't look good. You look really pale. And which is, like to be sunburned and look pale.
Right. Yeah.
Like you're kind of
Not
going
being
through
able
like
to
a
stay on your
shock.
bike. Yeah, that's not good.
So, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna get back on the bike and try, and he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna try to, I'm gonna try to call someone once I get up the hill. That's what he told me. And I'm like, okay, that's a good idea. And if I was like, you can use my phone if you need it, and he's like, yeah, okay. And it's like we're like talking, like it felt like we were talking to each other in like this slow motion, like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like we're wasted or something, but just so out of it. Um and then I tried to get back on my bike and I felt like I couldn't. I just like I couldn't even like put my leg over, like I couldn't find the seat, like I was just so out of it. And then like I got up on the hill and he was there. He's like I'm gonna call for help. And then I was like, I think I need to too. Like I was like I don't I felt like I was like, maybe this is like a sign. Maybe I need to stop.
Yeah.
Like,
It sounds
things
that,
aren't
that
going
sounds
well.
yeah, it sounds pretty serious. So after that, you decide to take on Gravel Worlds.
Yeah.
How tell us about that event. You were third overall.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Tell us a little bit about how that race goes and how that works out for you.
Yeah, so going into the race, I wanted to capitalize on my fitness, so I'm like, might as well do it. And coming into the race, a couple of things. My coach told me, she really wanted me to stay with the lead group of lead pack at the beginning. Try my best to just stay with them as long as I can, and that's a strategy, to just stay with the pack for as long as you can. And so going into it, and that's exactly what I did. I ended up, I don't know, unfortunately, I somehow end up in the back. I don't know why. And I inched my way to the front until the start. And then I sprinted to the very front. I was like, I need to find the lead pack. I I'm gonna have to. I have to stay with them. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. I have to stay with them. And I stayed with the lead pack probably for 5 miles because they were intense.
Yeah, I bet.
Like oh my God, they would just, you, like, it's so hard to get in the middle. People push you out, they steal your line, yeah, and like there were times I was like pushed out to the side and I hit the very, like, the soft sandy gravel parts, and I'm like working super hard to try to get back in there, and I'm like yo-yoing back and forth trying to get back in the pack, and by the time I get there they take off again. So oh my God, it's just so intense for like the first 5 miles, and then I look up and they're gone. I lost them. So I was like oh shoot, like this is gonna be a long race. And I'm like, well, it is what it is. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna have to, like, I'm here to give it all. So I'm gonna go as hard as I can. And if I catch someone, I catch someone. If I don't, I don't. So I, I'm racing hard, and then, probably like after like 2 or 3 miles, another group comes around, a big pack. So I just join them.
Yeah.
And I rode with them for up until the first checkpoint, which was mile 60. And a couple of things happened during it. I lost my water bottle at mile 30. Thank God I was like in the back, and I was going to stop to pick it up, and I'm like, I can't lose this group. I got to stay with them. So I ended up riding with one water bottle and a hydration pack. Which was fine. It actually worked out okay. But so within this group, it's kind of interesting. Like just the way they, like, there are a couple people that would take turns pulling, and I I know sometimes people are like, oh, the women, they never help, and like I took a turn. I took a couple of turns. And then there were times when they would kind of break apart, and we would, and again, I think just somehow I end up being like in the back, and there were times where I had to bridge the gap. So like with other people too, not just with me, but there were other guys too, and we would a couple of times just go super hard to try to bridge the gap, and people just kind of like without saying anything just know that we need to work together to do that. So once somebody starts, another person comes in and takes over and pulls a little bit, and they just switch off. It was actually really nice, like just automatically they just know to just switch off, take turns pulling until we catch the group. And that happened a couple of times. And then the group that I was with for was about like 15 people. And then we cut up to another group that fell off from the lead group of about five guys, and the second place woman.
Well, that's a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, I didn't know she was second place and I was third. I just I knew it was probably like maybe third, fourth, or fifth, just because of, just kind of like an idea. But I didn't, we cut up to them, and we were riding for about, it was about like 5 miles until checkpoint 1. And we get there, and I hit a huge rock, like humongous. I don't know where it came from. I saw it last minute. I hit it, and I got a puncture in my front tire. I was riding tubeless, so the sealant, tried to seal it, but it was so big that like the sealant was like squirting out, and I ended up having to use the Dynaplug to plug the hole. And oh my God, it was hilarious. Like I'm trying to get this going, and the woman that was there, Jennifer, I talked to her afterwards. Actually, she goes, she looks at me, and I look at her, and we both like we have this kind of like silent conversation, like, oh shit. And she jumps on her bike and goes. And I was like, oh no.
She's like, here's my chance. So with gravel racing, just for like, you have to be self-supported in
Yes.
this. I know it changes from format to format, but in gravel worlds here, it's all self-supported. So you got to know how to do all that stuff going in, and you're on your own, right?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. And surprisingly, actually, they didn't advertise this, but at checkpoint 1 and checkpoint 2, they had the water, which they like going into gravel worlds. They did tell us that there will be like water stops, but they also had food. And then one of they had a air pump too. So like it was actually really surprising. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I didn't think they would have these like the food, the pump and anything like that. But I couldn't receive the help. They told me, they're like, yeah, we have a pump if you want to use them. I'm like, yes, please, because my CO2 cartridge wasn't working. And later I found out it's because I was just so rushed. Like, I was rushing myself that I didn't screw it in all the way. It was such a stupid mistake, but I was like, yeah, I'll use the pump. So yeah, so I mean, that took up some time. Oh my God, I just cannot believe that happened. But hey, that's racing, and that's gravel worlds. You never know, or gravel racing, I should say, or any racing. You just never know. But yeah, I ended up fixing it, jumped on, and I was on my own. And then I ended up riding with this guy who was in the vintage category. They had this new category with vintage bikes. And
what's
like,
that mean?
So they're like, God, I forgot what the criteria was, but they had to be of like kind of like an old school bike. They oh my God, I can't probably like from the 80s, pretty much.
So they're going to do, and this is 150 miles, right?
Yeah.
Gravel world. So as if 150 miles isn't hard enough, we have to do it on outdated equipment. That sounds fun. They might as well just do it on single speeds with vintage single speeds, right? Make it as hard as possible.
And you know what? There were single speed people there too.
I'm sure there were. That's insane.
It is, yeah. And so I'm riding, and we're kind of yo-yoing back and forth. We're kind of going similar speed, and he goes, "Hey, we're about the same, like going the same pace. How about we help each other out?" I'm like, "Yeah, sounds good." So we start, taking turns, and it's so funny. He's like an older guy too, so he's it was like very like polite, right? But and there was a moment where he took a little bit longer pull, and he kind of comes back to me and he goes, I'm all about equality, equal opportunity, gender equality. I'm like, oh, gotcha, sir, I'll take that, my turn.
Yeah. that's a polite way to say get up and take your pull, huh?
Yeah, it was so funny, and then so we rode we rode together, and we caught up to some people that kind of fell off the pack, and we tried to ride with them, and God, they were hurting so bad. We passed probably like six guys just really struggling, just riding together, and we told them, like, jump on, let's ride, and they just couldn't. They were hurting so bad, and then he had the gearing or the shifters on his frame, like the bottom, the dime frame,
vintage bike, right?
Yes. So he was having like this had trouble working with it, and so there were times I would pull away, and then I would feel bad because I'm like, oh my God, he's helped me. I can't like leave him out there, and so I kind of wait for him.
You're chasing second place, and you're waiting for the guy on the 1980s bike. Did you tell your coach this? Was she okay with this strategy?
Well, no, I ended up pulling away from him later on because I was just like, I can't do this. I gotta go. So there there was a moment when I was like, oh, I gotta go, but I feel bad. But he would catch up, and we'd ride again together and take turns. And then we rode together until mile 116. That was an optional like oasis. And that's when I refueled, and I was like super fast. I refueled. They had Coke. So I was like, you know what? I need some energy. So I grabbed the Coke and I drank it. I had this homemade energy ball. Like it has quinoa, oatmeal, honey, chocolate chip.
Nice. That sounds good.
It was good actually. And so I had like two of those. I drank Coca-Cola, and oh my God, I felt like I was like on steroids. I just took off. I was like time trialing it. And so I pulled away from him then. I started going pretty hard, and he couldn't keep up. He was also hurting from just the fact that his bike sucked. It's just an old bike. Like, it's so uncomfortable for him.
Oh yeah, well, it's his choice. That sounds, yeah. I don't understand that decision. Why?
I don't know.
Why you want to make a hard ride miserable by riding something that's outdated? But that's funny though. So it sounds like this ride you were pretty fresh. I mean, it doesn't sound like you really struggled too much with that distance. Did you feel like that 150 mark was pretty obtainable for you?
Yeah. In fact, yeah, I did. Like I felt really, really good towards the end. I rode from mile 116 till the end. I rode by myself, and I was just going. I was like time trialing the whole thing. The last 5 miles was really, really tough. It got really hilly, and there was a headwind. But up until that point, yeah, I was feeling really, really good. Just like, yeah, I came to the finish, and I didn't feel like it was 150 miles. Yeah.
You think that was from your Iowa experience? You think that pushed you there?
I think so. Yeah. And then like leading up to Gravel World, I did do like an 8.5 mile ride, like as my long ride. And even that, I was just like, all right. I mean, you just like, I guess if you get it in your head that you're going to go out there for a long period of time, it just doesn't seem that bad, But I think because I did Iowa, like the 150, the 140 mile ride that I did, or 135 was it, going into Gravel Worlds, it really wasn't like, I was just like, yeah, just another long ride, and that's it.
That's crazy. So what's next? What's the next goal?
Well, that's something that sorry, that's my dog.
Sorry.
That's something that I'm actually thinking about right now. It's cyclocross season, and I love cyclocross, but I'd like to, maybe do Dirty Kansas. Would
you do the 200, or would you do you think eventually you do the XL there? That's like a 350.
Yeah, eventually, but I like to do the 200.
Yeah.
I like to actually try to do well in it. Really push myself and learn from the mistakes from Gravel Worlds, and like hone in all that, the nutrition and the strategy and everything like that, and I don't know, see what I could do. I'd love to try that and try to to be the top 5 at least, or something. That would be pretty cool.
Well, I mean, a top 3 at Gravel Worlds is definitely puts you in the conversation. That's incredibly impressive. So before we go here, there's kind of 2 different things I wanted to ask you. One is it seems women's racing is really, really vibrant in gravel right now, especially compared to some of the other areas of the sport. Is there some reason that you think that's happening, or something about the women's scene in gravel that you've experienced that seems to be appealing for female racers?
I think it's a little bit safer, maybe a lot safer. Just the fact that you're not on the roads with busy cars and aggressive drivers. So I think that's appealing. I also think that as it's not as intimidating, I think, as road racing. For at least for me, like it seemed like gravel racing was just kind of like, laid back. Everybody's invited, go out and have fun. You're out there to do like this really intense workout, and you're gonna have fun. And afterwards, we're gonna talk about it and just enjoy the atmosphere, enjoy the people, kind of thing. Where it seems like road racing might be more about racing, and that's it. Like if you're not racing, you don't belong here. Kind of, it just seems that way. And that's
Sure.
kind of what I heard, from like other. I can't really say I talked to a lot of women, but a few. That's just kind of how it seems. And then I did do the ride with Allison Tetrick the day before, like the preview ride with a whole bunch of women, and we were just kind of talking about like encouraging women to come do this, and a lot of them said, I was very hesitant, but when they describe it as just like you're going out on these like dirt roads and you're having fun, it's safe, they were more willing to do it. And so a lot of the women were like, it's just you don't feel like you're in danger. You just feel like you're you just out there having fun, and it's like
I believe
yeah.
I believe that it's a hard argument to buy from you after you burned yourself so hard in Iowa. You're dehydrated, you're sunburned, you can't get on your bike. You're like, oh no, I was never in danger. I've done a lot of like 40-minute to 1 hour crits. I never felt that way. I was always fine.
Yeah, no, I think it's more like, because I mean, it also like the strategy and stuff like that. You don't have to have be in a pack. When you're out there doing gravel, you can just go out, do your own ride,
Right.
and still be competitive.
That element with road is as soon as you're out of the pack, you're kind of out of the race. So sort of people feel like, well, what's the point of being here if I'm not with that lead group? And I think that's for men and women. That's not just for women by any means. We see that with guys all the time as well. But it's great to see so many women doing it and tackling, like, these are unbelievably hard races. I mean, you say it's fun and it's inclusive, and it certainly seems to be, but it's no small feat to do the 150 miles, let alone 300 miles. That's unreal. So can you tell me, as we kind of wrap up here, give me the top 3 things that you like about these really long gravel races that keep you coming back?
Oh, that's a tough one. I like the atmosphere. I think people are very welcoming, and I don't know, just overall, like, people are great. Atmosphere is great. I like the fact that in a race you can go through multiple feelings and emotions, and and like have like I don't know, experience the worst and the best, and get out of it. Like you can, I realize you can really like challenge yourself mentally. Like you can talk yourself out of pain in these races. You have the ability to, you have the opportunity to, I guess you could say. You can really challenge yourself mentally, I guess you could. I mean,
I like that. You can talk yourself out of pain.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. And oh gosh, I don't know. And just doing, like, riding out there for a long time, doing like being able to just be out in being outside for long periods of time, and just challenge your body, push yourself, see what your body can do. Really, until you try, you really don't know what your body is capable of. And these opportunities really allow a person to really challenge and see how far they could take themselves. So I don't know, I guess those are the top 3.
That's awesome. Those are great answers. I like that quote though. You can talk yourself out of pain. I'm gonna hang on to that one. All right. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time. I've enjoyed the conversation. This was great hearing about this, and I look forward to hearing some more when you take on whatever the next one is. Dirty Kansas, maybe.
Yeah. We'll see. Definitely do a couple local things too, but yeah, Dirty Kansas is definitely on my list. So.
Sure. Yeah. Maybe I'll catch you. I'm sure I'll catch you at the cross race here pretty soon.
Oh yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
See ya.